Have you ever said something in anger that you later wished you could take back? A moment, just a single moment, when your words, like arrows, flew out of your mouth, only to pierce someone you love. You didn't mean to, but the damage was done. And in that moment, you weren't yourself. You were your anger. Let me ask you something. What if I told you that anger is not your enemy? That behind your rage, behind your frustration, is not hatred but pain. And that pain doesn't need punishment. It needs understanding. Welcome to Wisdom of Sparks, where every word is meant to light a spark within your soul. In today's journey, we'll go beyond motivation, beyond self-help advice. We're diving into something ancient, timeless, the path that Buddha himself walked. This is not just another video that tells you to count to 10 inches or take deep breaths. This is a transformation. Over the next hour, you and I are going to walk through teachings so profound, so quietly powerful, that by the end, your relationship with anger will never be the same. You'll discover why anger exists in the first place, how Buddha viewed it not as a demon to kill, but a fire to understand, how ancient monks faced extreme insult without reacting, why the more peaceful you become, the less power anger has over you, and finally, how you can apply this, starting today, to change your inner world completely. This is not just information. This is awakening. And if you stay till the end, something inside you will shift, quietly but forever. There is a Zen story I will tell you later in this video. A story about a monk who was spit on by a stranger, right in the face. No warning, no reason. And what the monk did in that moment will show you something most of us never even knew was possible. But before we get there, we need to understand something more important than reaction. We need to understand ourselves. You've been angry, haven't you? Maybe it's because of your parents. Maybe your partner, your boss. Maybe life just feels unfair. I'm not here to judge that. You're human. You're allowed to feel. But what if I told you, you don't have to suffer from that anger anymore? You don't have to let it control you. You don't have to carry it into your sleep. You don't have to replay that argument 100 times in your head. There is a way out, and that's what we'll uncover today, not just with words, but with wisdom. The kind of wisdom that was passed down from a prince who walked away from his palace and came back as the Buddha. Before the Buddha became enlightened, he too struggled with the fires of emotion. He too faced betrayal, insult, loss, and grief. But here's the difference. Where most of us react, he paused. Where most of us fight, he observed. Where most of us explode, he simply understood. And in that understanding, anger transformed. From fire to light, from rage to compassion, from ego to emptiness. That's the journey we're about to take. And I want you to walk with me, not as a student, not as a viewer, but as someone truly ready to free themselves. Here's how this video will guide you. First, we'll understand where anger truly comes from, the roots behind the fire. Then we'll look at what Buddhist texts and monks have said about mastering this powerful emotion. After that, we'll explore the real-life stories of how ordinary people have applied these teachings and changed everything. We'll even look at modern science, how your brain behaves during anger, and how ancient Buddhist techniques align perfectly with today's psychology. And finally, we'll give you practical methods you can apply immediately. So this isn't just theory, it's a new reality. So sit down, breathe, let go of the noise for just a while. Because if you truly open your heart to this, you may never experience anger the same way again. You don't need another fight. You don't need another sleepless night full of regret. You don't need to carry this fire in your chest anymore. You deserve peace, not just on your face, but in your soul. And peace doesn't come from running away from anger. It comes from understanding it, deeply, lovingly, truthfully. This is Wisdom of Sparks, and I created this space for one reason, to help you remember who you truly are. Not your wounds, not your reactions, not your anger, but the spark beneath it all. Calm, steady, awake. If you're ready to uncover that part of yourself, stay with me till the end, because the truth I'm about to share may just be the turning point of your emotional life. If you feel this already resonating in your chest, I invite you, hit the like button so this message reaches more people who need it. Comment below, tell me, when was the last time anger took over you? Let's talk about it. And don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom of Sparks, because each day, I'll bring you another light from the path of peace, philosophy, and Buddhist truth. Now, let's begin. Part 1, the truth about anger, what Buddha discovered. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Buddha, let's pause for a second and ask something we never truly ask ourselves. Where does anger really come from? Not the surface, not just he insulted me or she betrayed me. But deeper, why do we become angry in the first place? Is it because the world is unfair? Or is it because our expectations of the world don't match reality? The core Buddhist truth, anger comes from attachment. Buddhism teaches something very strange, and yet very beautiful. Anger is not the opposite of love. In fact, anger is born from love, twisted by attachment and ego. Let me explain. When you love someone, you naturally expect kindness, respect, honesty. You attach yourself to an image of how they should behave. So when they betray you, disrespect you, or even ignore you, that mental image shatters, and your mind doesn't like that. It doesn't like when things don't go according to its story. That's when anger comes, not from what they did, but from how much we were attached to what we wanted them to do. A mirror to the self. Imagine this. A child spills milk on the floor. If it's a stranger's child at a restaurant, you may laugh it off. But if it's your child, and you've had a long day, and your expectations are on edge, you might explode. Why? Same event, different attachment. The milk didn't change. You did. That's the first Buddhist insight. Anger is not about what happens. It's about how tightly we cling to how things should be. The ego wants control. There's another layer, ego. When someone insults us, the anger isn't just about their words. It's about the feeling of being disrespected, of losing control, of having our sense of identity attacked. The Buddha said this ego, this false sense of I, me, mine, is the root of all suffering. So when the ego feels threatened, it lashes out. Anger becomes its defense mechanism. But here's the secret. A strong person doesn't need to react. Only a weak ego needs to fight back to protect its imaginary identity. When you realize that, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself, because your true self doesn't need validation. A story from Buddha's life. Let me tell you a story that reveals this in the most beautiful way. Once, the Buddha was giving a sermon under a tree. A man approached him, furious, and began shouting insults. "You're a fake. You mislead people. You think you're above everyone." But Buddha just sat there, silent, peaceful. When the man paused to catch his breath, Buddha finally spoke. "If someone offers you a gift, and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man, confused, said, "To the person who offered it." Buddha smiled and replied, "Then in the same way, I do not accept your anger. So it remains with you." Can you feel the power in that? The man came with fire, expecting war. But the Buddha gave him silence, and the fire had no fuel. Anger feeds on reaction. This brings us to a deep teaching. Anger only survives when you react. It feeds on your attention, your drama, your ego. But when you observe it with calm, awareness, and space, it burns itself out, just like a matchstick that fizzles when there's no wind. That's why meditation is so powerful, because meditation trains you to observe your thoughts, without attaching, without reacting. And the more you observe anger without judgment, the more you realize it's not you. It's just a passing storm, and you are the sky, the space between stimulus and response. One of the greatest Buddhist insights is this. Between what happens and how you respond, there is a space. And in that space is your power. Modern science agrees. Psychologists call it the gap. It's the 1-2 seconds between being triggered and acting out. Angry people shrink that space. Enlightened people expand it. Buddha expanded it so far that even insult, betrayal, and violence could not touch him. That's our goal too, not to become cold or emotionless, but to become clear. A small practice, watch the flame. Here's something simple you can try tonight. Next time you feel angry, don't try to suppress it. Just watch it. Close your eyes. Breathe. Notice the heat in your chest, the tightening of your jaw, the racing of your thoughts. But don't fight it. Don't feed it. Just observe it, like a scientist watching a fire behind glass. And you'll notice something magical. The more you observe anger without judgment, the faster it fades. Because attention without attachment is like water to fire. The 3 poisons of the mind. In Buddhist philosophy, there are 3 root poisons. Greed, labha; hatred, anger, dosa; delusion, ignorance, moha. These 3 corrupt the mind and keep us trapped in suffering. Anger especially leads to all kinds of harm, broken relationships, self-hate, even violence. But the antidote: loving kindness, metta; compassion, karuna; mindfulness, sati. The Buddha didn't just remove anger. He transformed it into understanding. And that's what we're here to learn too. A monk's silence, another real-life story. There's a famous tale of a Zen master who was beaten by robbers. They tied him up, stole everything, and spat on him before leaving. When villagers found him, they were shocked at his calm face. Someone asked, "Weren't you angry at them?" He replied, "Why be angry at someone who is lost in ignorance? Would you punish a blind man for stepping on your foot?" That's the depth we're talking about. Not weakness, not submission, but true, powerful, unstoppable peace. Part 2, How to Stop Anger Before It Starts, Buddha's Practical Teachings. Imagine this. You're standing in a long queue. You've had a rough day, and someone suddenly cuts in front of you. Your first reaction, how dare they? The heat rises. You feel your heart race. You want to shout, argue, maybe even push them aside. But wait, pause. This is your moment of truth. This, right here, is where Buddha's teachings can change your entire life. Shift from reaction to reflection. Buddhism doesn't say anger is bad. It says unaware anger is what causes suffering. So the first step is this. Catch the moment, catch the trigger. The Buddha taught, just as a fish struggles when removed from water, the mind that reacts struggles in the ocean of suffering. Every time you feel triggered, someone insults you, ignores you, disagrees with you. Don't act immediately. Breathe, and silently say this to yourself. I see you, anger, and I will not feed you today. This practice is called mindful labeling. Simply recognizing the emotion breaks its control. It creates space between you and the feeling. Practice the 3 breaths of wisdom. Here's a powerful Buddhist practice. Simple but life-changing. Whenever you feel anger coming, take. First breath, awareness. Say silently, this is anger, I see it clearly. Second breath, compassion. Say silently, may I be free from this suffering. Third breath, understanding. Say silently, this person is also suffering, may they find peace. This is a practice used by monks for centuries. It's short, but it transforms the energy. You stop reacting. You start seeing. And that's the real awakening. Metta, the weapon of love against the fire of anger. Buddha gave us a sacred weapon, metta bhavana, or the practice of loving kindness. He said, hatred does not cease by hatred. It ceases only by love. This is an eternal law. Let's say you're angry with someone right now. Close your eyes, picture them, and repeat in your mind. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May peace touch your heart. Hard, of course, but every time you do it, your heart becomes lighter. Because forgiveness is not a gift to them. It's freedom for you. Real-world example. A modern monk's airport experience. Let me tell you a short story. A modern-day Buddhist monk, Ajahn Brahm, once stood in a long immigration queue. People were pushing, arguing. An officer shouted at a tired traveler. The energy was tense, but Ajahn just stood peacefully. Later, a man asked him, "How do you not get angry in such chaos?" He smiled and said, "Because I don't give anyone control over my inner peace." That's the secret. Anger is easy, but freedom is when you stop letting others control your emotions. And peace, that's the real rebellion in a chaotic world. A mantra to carry with you. From the Buddhist texts, here's a powerful line you can use anytime you're on the edge of anger. Sab sata sakai hontu. May all beings be happy. Say it quietly when someone cuts you off in traffic. Say it when someone disrespects you. Say it when you feel fire rising. You'll feel a shift not outside but inside. Because when you wish well for others, you end up healing yourself. Anger is not something you fight with fists. You fight it with stillness, with mindfulness, with compassion, with awareness. And each time you win over anger, you return to your true nature, which is calm, loving, and unshakable. Now, I want you to try something today. Think of someone who made you angry recently. Close your eyes for 2 minutes and send them thoughts of kindness, just once, and then come back and tell me in the comments what you felt. Let's learn from each other, like a true community of awakened minds. If this touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Wisdom of Sparks. We're building a space where ancient wisdom meets modern life. And in the next part, we'll explore how to deal with toxic people using Buddhist wisdom, and how to never let anyone control your peace again. Get ready. Part 3, How to Deal with Toxic People Using Buddhist Wisdom. There's a famous Buddhist saying, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger." Now imagine this. You're constantly surrounded by people who are rude, manipulative, or just plain toxic. It drains you, right? Your peace vanishes, and all that's left is irritation, stress, and inner chaos. But what if I told you that you can face even the most toxic people with a calm mind and a loving heart? This is where Buddhist philosophy becomes your greatest shield. Step 1, recognize their suffering. Toxic people often operate from a place of deep inner pain. The Buddha taught that all human actions come from 2 roots: the desire to be happy, the desire to avoid suffering. When someone is toxic, what you're seeing is the symptom. The real issue is often buried beneath loneliness, trauma, fear, insecurity. Start training your mind to say, this person is suffering. I choose not to absorb their suffering. This doesn't mean allowing abuse. It means separating their poison from your peace. Step 2, practice non-attachment. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is the idea of non-attachment. You don't control other people's thoughts. You don't control their moods, their behavior, or their actions. You only control your response. So when someone is being toxic, don't take the bait, don't take it personally. Buddha said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. The toxic words, let them pass. The manipulation, see through it like a passing cloud. Non-attachment gives you freedom. Step 3, protect your energy mindfully. Being compassionate doesn't mean being weak. You can be kind and still set boundaries. When Buddha walked village to village, some people mocked him, insulted him. He would simply smile and walk away, saying, if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong? You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to prove anything. Sometimes silence is the loudest roar. Create mindful space around your peace. It is sacred. Part 4, anger and ego, the secret link. Let's get honest. Why do we get angry in the first place? Because of ego. Someone insults us, the ego says, how dare they? Someone disagrees, the ego says, I must prove I'm right. Someone disrespects us, the ego screams, I demand justice. Buddha taught, the root of suffering is attachment, and ego is the attachment to I, me, mine. The more ego you have, the more triggers you carry. But when you dissolve ego, even an insult becomes meaningless. Imagine you're walking through a forest and a parrot starts screaming insults. Would you fight with the parrot? No, you'd smile and walk on. When the ego drops, anger has nothing to cling to. Part 5, daily practices to live anger-free. Living without anger is not just a concept, it's a practice. Here are 5 Buddhist rituals you can start today. 1. Morning meditation. Spend 5 minutes sending love to yourself and others. May I be happy, may I be peaceful, may others be happy. 2. Gratitude journaling. Write 3 things every morning that you're thankful for. It rewires your mind for positivity. 3. Mindful pauses. Set a timer every 2 hours. Stop, breathe, smile. This anchors you in the present. 4. Evening reflection. Ask yourself, what triggered me today? How could I respond better next time? 5. Read a teaching. Spend 10 minutes reading Dhammapada or a Zen story. It nourishes your soul. Anger fades when awareness grows. Part 6, a real-life story, the monk and the warrior. In ancient Japan, a warrior once visited a monk and asked, what is the difference between heaven and hell? The monk looked at him and said, you're nothing but a brute. You're a disgrace to warriors. The warrior fumed. He pulled out his sword. The monk smiled calmly and said, that is hell. Stunned, the warrior paused, then bowed in humility. The monk said, and that is heaven. One moment of awareness can change anger into wisdom. That is the power of mindfulness. Part 7, the final truth, you are not your anger. Let this sink in deeply. You are not your thoughts. You are not your reactions. You are not your anger. You are the awareness behind all of it. Every time you choose peace over rage, compassion over revenge, stillness over drama, you return home to yourself. The Buddha said, peace comes from within, do not seek it without. So stop waiting for others to stop triggering you. Stop waiting for the world to be perfect. The power is always inside you. And the moment you awaken to that truth, you'll realize you've always had the ability to be free, to live without anger, to live with peace, to live like Buddha. So now, dear listener, tell me, what will you choose today? The heavy chains of anger, or the lightness of compassion? If this message touched your heart, if even one line made you pause and reflect, then share this video with someone you care about. Because together, we are not just learning Buddhism, we are living it. Subscribe to Wisdom of Sparks, where ancient teachings light up modern lives. And as always, remember this, no one can steal your peace unless you hand it over. So breathe deep, be kind, and stay awakened. Until next time, may your path be filled with light. May your heart be free from anger, and may your life reflect the wisdom of Sparks.